So one of the biggest signs I think is an unkept appearance. So
Mm,
if mom or dad or your loved one was meticulous in caring for themselves with their dress, their hygiene, like dressed to the nines and everything, and then you go over and you see them one day for a visit and you see them looking like disheveled and their hair is not groomed and it's greasy, that's like a red flag.
Hi, and welcome to Beyond Empty Nest. I'm your host, Jody Silverman, speaker, mentor, and Chief Dare Officer at Moms Who Dare. Every Thursday, I'll share stories of midlife transformation, happiness tips, and dare you to see the opportunities waiting for you so that you can make this next chapter even better than the last. If you're ready to dare, I'm ready to dare with you. Let's get into today's episode. Hi, everyone. Today we're diving into a topic that can feel a bit heavy, but is so important. If you've got an older parent or loved one, you might be noticing little things that make you wonder if it's time to step in a bit more. Maybe you're seeing signs you need a little extra support, but you're not sure how to bring it up or even what to do next. Well, you're not alone, and that's exactly what we're covering today. We'll talk about how to recognize the signs that it's time to give them more attention, how to have the talk in a way that's loving and respectful, and finally, how to take action to ensure they get the help they need as well as you. So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's dive in to making this transition as smooth as possible for everyone involved. My guest today is Ellen Donovan. Ellen is an RN senior care consultant, certified dementia practitioner, and president of One Life Consulting, where she guides older adults and their families through late life care challenges, including planning, advocacy, aging in place, and crisis management. With over 30 years of nursing experience, Ellen is dedicated to helping seniors achieve the best possible outcomes in every stage of care. Ellen, welcome to Beyond Empty Nest.
Thank you, Jody. I'm super excited to be here, and I appreciate you having me here to speak with you today.
Absolutely. Well, they call us the sandwich generation, and it's happening to all of us. And even if it's not dementia or Alzheimer, and we'll get into that, our parents are aging and they will need more help, whether it's after a surgery of a hip replacement or a knee replacement, and then the importance of recognizing signs. And I know we're going to talk about this, how to recognize the warning signs. But before we get started and dive into this topic of helping our older parent with a plan and helping ourselves while we do it, because we need to care for ourselves, share a little backstory about why this is such a passion for you. How did this come to be?
Yeah, so I've been a patient advocate my whole life, and recently my mother-in-law got diagnosed with cancer and got a prognosis of 6 months or less to live with
Mm,
bile duct cancer. And with me by her side throughout the whole journey, she lived 3 years. She obviously the doctors were wrong about how long she was going to live, but I was there with her through everything. And I do believe, because I was her patient advocate, I was her voice watching everything, that she did have a longer life because of having somebody there with her. And I also worked in long-term care, and that's when I really saw I had a different perspective, that people were struggling. They needed help, their families needed help and guidance. And that's really another reason why I started One Life Consulting, to support them.
yeah. Well, it's a powerful story. And I know some people are listening and thinking, well, I don't have support, but that's why you're here, because we're going to share how they can find support if they don't have a network of family and friends that can support them. So I guess the place to start would be to learning the warning signs for when our older parents or loved ones need more attention, that something might be off, because I do think being so close to them, especially if you see them on a daily basis, you might miss some signs. So what can we learn to look for?
That's a great question. And I think a lot of times people are not as proactive in doing this as they should be. And I think the earlier that, you get involved and start noticing, the better the outcomes will be. So one of the biggest signs I think is an unkept appearance. So
Mm,
if mom or dad or your loved one was meticulous in caring for themselves with their dress, their hygiene, like dressed to the nines and everything. And then you go over and you see them one day for a visit and you see them looking like disheveled and, their hair is not groomed and it's greasy. That's like a red flag. Like something is going wrong here. So that's one of the signs. I think detecting body odor is another one.
mm,
And it's really difficult for a family to see their loved one like this when, maybe they're not able to get into the shower, they're not showering, or maybe they're not even able to bathe because they might have some physical ailments going on, or maybe it's a cognitive decline starting. Or maybe there's a medical reason. Maybe there's incontinence of urine or bowel, and then with that comes a lot of other issues. So I think that that has to be a deeper dive, like a deeper investigation into that. Also, if you go over and you notice that your loved one has some soiled clothes on their, food
yeah.
on their clothes or anything like that, then you're like thinking to yourself, well, what's going on? Is mom or dad not able to wash their clothes? So again, you
What?
have to look at their environment. Like maybe the washer and dryer is down the basement and they have to carry the laundry basket. Oh, I can't even think about this. It makes me
No.
nervous, down a whole flight of steps.
Yes.
And, so maybe that's the reason. You don't know. We don't. So, you really have to be a detective and kind of put all these pieces together to try to do the best thing that you can for them. And then, if you're over there and you see like some delinquent bills or late fees that are applied, then you're like thinking, well, again, is there a cognitive reason that they're not paying the bills or what's going on here? Again, because now money's involved and now
Yeah.
you're really starting to get panicked.
So I like that. I've heard a lot of these and also hiding soiled clothes.
Mhm.
Hiding, I think, is a lot different than seeing them. And and I love what you said. Be aware of their environment because if you have an older senior who has to walk down a flight of steps or up a flight of steps to get to a laundry, it might be time to figure something else out. But I like that somebody else mentioned once to me, not delinquent bills, but they mentioned just a pile of mail unopened.
Mhm.
Unopened. So, and the one that I remember with my nana, with my mom, was her writing. Her writing just got really illegible. And my
Mhm.
nana had great penmanship. And I know our writing changes over time. I mean, my God, don't even look at my writing with all the typing that we do now. But
Yeah.
I'm talking about like something wrong with the writing. So,
Mhm.
but these
Yeah,
are
that's
the unkept appearance, detecting body odor. But the good thing that what I really loved about what you said was, all right, so now we're learning more. We're seeing some warning signs. We're not sure why. And it's like caution, caution. It's for those of you, I'm going to date myself. Danger, danger, Will Robinson. I'm totally my dating myself to my childhood, my 70s with that show. But caution, caution, because you don't want to attack, you don't want to assume. And I have that's a big, big thing in my world, my mantra, assume nothing, clarify everything. So now you find some warning signs, some little red flags or yellow flags that are going up. You have to approach them. You
yes, you
have to
do.
approach them to help them. And they just might be too proud to ask for help. They might not want to tell you, I can't walk up and down the steps, or I'm having trouble navigating the shower or the bath, whatever it might be. I mean, and nobody wants to tell their adult children that they need help bathing. Nobody wants that. Our parents, I know that I don't want my kids to do that to me. So how do you have these conversations? Like, how do you approach them with these conversations?
Yeah, so I think it's very important if you have siblings, if you have a family, then you need to have like a family meeting without your parents first, if that's the situation. And you have to all get on the same page and express the concerns with mom and dad. And then once you express the concerns to each other, kind of figure out, who is going to be the best person to have this conversation with mom or dad, and who's going to be talking to them with respect and dignity and empathy and listen and be non-judgmental and make them just feel at ease, and you're not attacking them. You can't have seven siblings
No,
going in like an intervention to let's talk to mom and dad, and then it gets nothing good's going to come of it.
no.
And it's not going to be one conversation. It's not once and done, unfortunately. This is going to be a series of conversations. And don't be surprised if it gets a little contentious when you're starting to have this conversation.
And I
And
would,
then
I have to just interrupt. If it does, just receive it. Just receive it. Don't get like I'm thinking as you say this, if I were to approach my mom or my dad or somebody I loved and they got angry at me, I would just receive it because that's their ego. That's their vulnerability that they're feeling like, oh my God, somebody's uncovering something that I am not ready to uncover. It's not an attack on me. So we can't take it personally. We have to go there, like you said, completely judgment free and ready to receive whatever they give. And it might be that we have to take a beat and come back a second time or send in a reserve. But
yes.
yeah, like don't get in a fight, right?
Yeah. No. And you said it. You might have to just table it, and then you know what? It's going to be another time. And I think another key point is timing. When
Mm.
is the best time to see your loved one to have that discussion? Is it after breakfast? I always say after a full meal sometimes because you don't want them to get hangry, right?
No, no, I'm not good hangry either. So I get
So,
that.
but what is the best time of day? You know your parents probably really well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you want to go at the best time, not like maybe late evening or anything like that. So timing is everything as well.
No, that's a good point because I always think when my guests are talking, I mean, if my kids or somebody wants to have like a deep conversation with me and it's after 8 o'clock at night, it's not, I don't have the patience. I'm tired. I've had a full day of talking and listening. And I mean, if it's an emergency, I'll do it. Otherwise, my kids know if you're going to call me like 8, 9 o'clock at night, you're not getting like that 100% mom vibe from me. You're just not going to have it. So it works for our parents too. I think a lot of people, and I don't know, you can share this with me from your experience of working with families. There's this anxious feeling that I have to get this done. I have to get this done. They're going to get it. I need to get it done. And we just dive in and take control versus taking that step back, saying, okay, we're going to figure this out, but do it in a way that's not telling your mom or dad what to do, especially if they still have their mental faculties to,
Yes.
you can't take away the control from your parent. They're not children. They're
No.
not children, especially when you start seeing the beginning warning signs. They're not children, and this is the time to do it is in the early warning signs to find those so that you can have this be them having a partnership, them having a say in what they want help with and how they want to proceed should things go south.
Yes, absolutely. And I think another a really important topic to bring up is to be honest and to use your emotions, how seeing your loved one like this is making you feel. Dad, I see that you are struggling, with getting into the shower. And I want you to, live your best life and be taken care of. And, medical conditions can happen from people that are not bathing. And
Yeah.
people don't realize that. You can
Oh
get like a
yeah.
cellulitis of your legs or your arms from a bacteria that gets into your skin through a cut or something. So I bring up bathing as a really good example of that. But you want your loved one to have the best quality of life for them. And so, and you want them, and this is another thing, you want them this, it's okay to spend their money on help.
Oh, permission. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to, as, what, are you saying that because people feel guilty that they're stealing money from their parents or their parent?
No, I say this because the older adults do not want to spend the money because they want to leave their inheritance to their children.
Yeah, no.
And so they get really tight with the purse strings. And I say to my parents and my father-in-law, I don't want your money. I want you to be taken care of and have the quality of life that you deserve.
Yeah,
This is not about me. This is about you.
yeah. You know, it's interesting. I have watched three very close relatives, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, and my sister-in-law, 3 years in a row. Um, and two of them had all their mental faculties. My mother-in-law had a brain tumor that affected her cognitive ability, and stuck in bed. But it was we didn't know how we were going to care for them. And you know, we got Sam's my husband's siblings together, and Sam and Debbie, his sister, were really the ones, the two other brothers, like you guys just, they made all the financial decisions. My father-in-law was very proactive with that. He signed it over even when he was still 100% cognitively aware and able to do. I mean, he never used a calculator in his life. He would do longhand, but he saw that he was pragmatic. He knew he would leave first. He was convinced he was going to go before my mother-in-law. So gave that power of the finances over to the two, the youngest and the oldest.
Mhm.
And they didn't do anything. They didn't write the checks. My husband would literally just go sit with him while he paid the bills so he would learn what he did. And then when he was gone, we were able to, you feel like, how are you going to afford this? I mean, we wanted to bring people into the house, keep my mother-in-law there. They owned the condo, and we did take a line of credit out on the condo. I mean, we knew there was a finite amount of time that she was going to be with us. There was no doubt about it. And we're like, we're going to take a line of credit, and when it's all finished, we'll pay it back. But I think that's really important because I think you're right. Older parents want to leave a legacy for their children and their grandchildren. And um, like you, I would rather my parents have all the comfort in the world. I'll earn my own money. I'll figure it out. I don't need that to have their own care. So I love that you shared that don't be scared to spend their money on their care.
Because in the end, what I see is the adult children are so stressed out when they call me, worrying. They don't sleep at night. They're by their phone all day, waiting for the phone to ring about, what's happening with mom. Did she remember to take her medications?
Yeah.
Did she fall? Did she, she's living alone. So they are so stressed out and worried. And to spend a little bit of money on some care to alleviate what that adult child is feeling, the stress, it's taking the burden off the adult child. And that's what sometimes the older adult doesn't see.
Yeah, and look, everything falls into our health and wellness. If you are the adult child and you are stressed and you are not sleeping and you're going to get sick.
Mhm.
Your immune system is going to be negatively impacted by all those feelings and emotions, and lack of sleep is the biggest one out there. And actually, this past November, there's an episode with Adrian Cotton, and we talk about sleep a lot in that episode and the effects of lack of sleep can have on you. So, I know I have this talk with so many women in my group. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be any good for the other people. And Ellen, that's what it is. It's the cliche, put your oxygen mask on first.
Mhm.
So if it's a little bit of an investment in money to allow you to sleep so that you can show up better and healthier and stronger, because it's not, I said at the beginning, we're the sandwich generation. We have our adult children, we have ourselves, and we have our older family members. We're smack in the middle. And you know what? We get to live life too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I have clients that are also now watching their grandchildren. So
Yeah.
there's a
Oh, it's a
whole
big one.
another layer. It's like the triple decker.
Yeah, it is. There's part of that where I believe it can keep you young, and part of that that can completely have you in bed for 10 hours. Because I'm 58 and I have little nieces. I have 5-year-old, 7, 8-year-old nieces and nephews. And when I spent a whole day and I slept there, I told my kid, you guys better hurry up, get married, have kids, because I don't think I'm gonna make it. But you're right. All kidding aside, that's another big issue going on there. So, all right, you're going to look for warning signs, pay attention, note them. You don't have to jump in and accuse and make them feel like something's wrong. Having the talk with your loved one, where to start. I loved your idea of a family meeting. And if you don't have a family, now, I'm very blessed. I have a very large family. I have a network of support and friends. Where can somebody go to find support? And I'm you obviously, but tell people like this is why you do what you do. You support families, but how can somebody, an only child, get help? Or scarier yet, an elderly person who doesn't really have anybody.
Yeah, so I do get a lot of calls from people like that just to support them, uh, because they do need to make a plan now, sooner rather than later, and get all the ducks in a row.
Are you talking about the senior, the older or person?
I,
Yeah.
yeah, even the person without siblings too.
Okay. Yep. Okay. And those are services that somebody like you offers, correct?
Yes.
All right. What's the name of your company again? Tell everybody.
One Life Consulting.
On Life Consulting. So all the links are below. We're going to get to more resources that Ellen has for you. Well, I guess we said how to take action to get them what they need. I mean, part of that is the family meeting, but what else didn't we cover that maybe you want to leave our audience thinking about as far as taking action to get them the help they need?
Yes, our community has so many really valuable resources out there. So again, people call me for quality resources. I can connect them with other professionals to help them, whether it's, non-medical home care or somebody to help them with their bills, anything like that. Um, yeah, and I think I also do a lot of education and answering questions that people have that really they don't have their answers to.
Yeah.
So education is a big thing. I like to educate people on all their options out there as
Love
they.
that.
Mhm.
I know that was when you and I met. We live locally to each other. We met for coffee. And after I learned more about what you do and how you do it, and it's obvious how compassionate you are. And I just knew you were the right person to have this conversation. Um, so you're like, I always say everybody needs a team. And even if your team is just one person, you can be the quarterback of that team. Ellen's the quarterback. She's gonna create that huddle around you and give you the resources, share with you what you can do. I mean, it's we, and I'm going to say, I'm really making a generalization about women, but I do think it's more with women than men. My husband and I have talked about it. Everybody has a money story. And when I say that in the coaching world, it means we have a money issue. Whatever our money story is, whether we were told money grows on trees or rich people are mean and having a lot of money makes you greedy, whatever your money story is, we get hung up on spending money on things that would just improve our lives. But yet we'll go out and spend a couple $100s on a new pair of boots. And I'm not criticizing, I'm not judging because I have been the same way. I've done a lot of work around my money story, but I was the same way. So investing in somebody like you to support and provide the resources and the guidance, I mean, that to me, that's priceless, priceless. So, I do appreciate you being on the show. I know that you've also, and I'm going to encourage everybody, click the links below, check out everything that Ellen does. She has a great website, but you also have a book called The Caregiver's Advocate. Share a little bit, because I know that was a really really big undertaking collaboration and I think you have two books.
Yeah, I just
So
finished.
share about your books and we'll link to both of the books below.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I wrote chapter 12. It was a collaborative book called The Caregiver's Advocate, a complete guide to support and resources. I wrote chapter 12, Be Their Voice. And the story was about my mother-in-law. And then I shared some tools about how I was her advocate. So, like through observation, through recording everything, and communication. With physicians and things like that. So it's really, again, important to me to be an older person's advocate and to support the family. And that's why I agreed to be a co-author in that book. It's a great book. There's resources in the back, a list of a lot of good references for people.
Okay.
And
And
then
good.
the second one is called The 25 Tools for Life. And that is a story that I wrote about my own life and how I believe self-care is so important. It talks about my journey, how I take care of myself, and then strategies on how I can help other people take care of themselves. So that's coming out in the middle of January.
Oh, love that. So right about the time that this is happening, that'll be out. So
Yes.
hopefully we'll have a link in the show notes for that. But I promise if it's not ready by the time this airs, we will share it. We will share it for you. But for right now, honestly, for this conversation, The Caregiver's Advocate is the book you want to grab right now. So thank you. All right. Well, you know what time is. It's dare time. It's dare time. We gave you a lot of good, I mean, Ellen has shared a lot of good tips on looking for the warning signs, how to approach having the talk, and then what some actions you can take along with your loved one or with your family. And now the dare, we're going to turn it on to you. So share with everybody what the dare is, Ellen.
I challenge you to try one new thing every day that you can do to take care of yourself. And it could be walking, it could be journaling, it could be meditation, but I want you to take care of yourself. It's really important to me.
I like
And
how you did the everyday because whether it's 5 minutes
mhm.
or 5 hours, take dare to try every day to do one thing that's all about caring for you. Love it. It's simple. I like simple dares. It's simple, not easy. It's a
True.
simple dare, not easy. Because one of my favorite quotes is easy to do, easy not to do. That's a whole nother thing. But Ellen, thank you so much again. All the links to connect with Ellen are in our show notes below. I've loved this conversation. Reach out to Ellen if you really are struggling or if you need some guidance and want to have a chat. And don't forget the next week, there'll be another new episode of Beyond Empty Nest. And as I always say, dare on. If you've enjoyed today's episode of Beyond Empty Nest, head over to jodiesilverman.com for full show notes and other fun resources. Are you ready to clean up your self-talk and reconnect with your midlife purpose? Negative self-talk can hold you back from the confidence, happiness, and relationships you deserve. That's why I created the Self-Talk Cleanup free 7-day mini challenge. In just 5 minutes a day, you'll grow your confidence, boost your happiness, and build resilience to take on life's challenges. Isn't it time to rewrite the story in your head? Well, if you're ready, click the link in the show notes below and join the challenge now. Dare on.